Hi, Michael Kushner here. Welcome back to the podcast, HOA Hell. With me today is Senior Associate from MBK Chapman, Sam Kill. Sam, welcome back again.
Well, Mike, great to be with you.
I'm so happy you're here. I think this is going to be a lot of fun today.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a, we're going to kick things off right at the beginning with a clip, just a minute and a half, from a really good hit TV show by Taylor Sheridan called Tulsa King, starring Sylvester Stallone. And when I watched it, this scene, I laughed out loud because it was so funny. It hit close to home, and I thought, you know what, I can make a lesson out of that. And so I want to share that with you. And then once we watch this video, we'll go ahead and we'll break it down. Okay? So let's watch the video.
Mr. Man Freddy? Mr. Man Freddy, my name's Wesley Tucker. I'm your neighbor. Right across the street there.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me just say, welcome to the community. I think you and your family can be very happy here.
Oh, we are, Wesley. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful neighborhood.
Wow. As vice chair of the Homeowners Association, it's part of my job to make sure that it stays that way.
Right, of course.
Let me just cut to the chase here. Your garage door has been open for over 20 consecutive minutes.
And?
Well, it's a breach of the rules.
My garage door being open.
Correct.
Well, maybe it's the truck here. They pulled up. They didn't deliver my lazy boy, but maybe it's their fault.
Right, and the movers did block your mailbox at one point as well, but I'm gonna overlook that.
You do that for me, Wesley?
You know, Mr. Man Freddy, I don't make the rules, nor do I set the fines.
Fine?
Yeah.
For having my garage door open?
First offense is $100. We do have an appeals process, but most people opt to just pay the penalty and get on with their lives.
Yeah, I've had enough appeals, so don't worry about it.
Once again, garage doors may not remain ajar longer than 20 minutes. And sir, it was a real pleasure meeting you. I could say that.
Yeah, pleasure. See you around, Wesley.
Okay.
Too
So
good.
first of all, it's a great show. I think if you haven't seen it, it's worth watching. So Mr. Man Freddy, Sylvester Stallone's character, spent many years in jail as a former member of the mafia, right? He's minding his own business, and he plays a very charming guy in the show. Really, actually very, very endearing, okay? He's minding his own business. Obviously, they're moving in. They're in the process of moving in. I mean, they had just, they were talking about delivering his lazy boy. I mean, it was just, it was new. They were brand new to the neighborhood, okay? Garage doors open. They're enjoying some fresh air. They're out there talking. And then this guy comes driving up in his fancy golf cart, which I guarantee you was paid for by the HOA. At least that's what they're trying to go with, okay? And he fines Man Freddy $100
On the spot.
on the spot, first violation,
Yeah.
for having the garage door open for more than 20 minutes.
Jeez.
Apparently, he was really nice about not fining him another $100 for the mailbox thing. Because, these long trucks are supposed to park in a parking spot, obviously. And Stallone is just pure grace, right? Doesn't do anything. He doesn't push back. He doesn't threaten him. He just takes it in with his signature deadpan calm, which is what made it that much more enjoyable, okay? Now, it's funny because later on in the episode, the guy's watching the news and he sees a thing on Manfredi and he realizes who he is. And he goes running back to the property. Right. We don't have to have this fine anymore. Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm just going to forget that. Why don't you just rip that up? It's like, oh, that's really nice of you. Thank you so much. It's like, it was very funny. But let's say this, okay? Obviously, that's a little extreme. It's not like that in California yet.
Right.
But I think it's relatable.
It is.
It's almost enough to be. People aren't going to say that could never happen. Let's put it that way. And that's a scathing indictment right there. Okay? So in California, the scene couldn't, as we pictured it, could not have happened legally.
Right.
Right? So under Civil Code 5855, a HOA cannot fine you on the spot. No. What is the process?
Well, they have to call you to a hearing. You deserve to be heard.
So how do they do that?
They have to notice it. They have to give you 10 days at
Can
least.
Can they call you on the phone?
No. It has to be written notice.
Okay.
10 days at least, and 10 days out to be precise. And
It could be more, but
it could be more,
least,
but at least,
yeah.
exactly. And then, furnish the evidence against you, complaints, anything else, cite to these precise provisions of the governing documents, rules, regulations that you're allegedly in breach
Do they
of.
have to do that up front, or can they do that? Do they have to do it in the notice?
They would need to do that in the notice, obviously. And then in this instance, hypothetically, if this guy were to cite to them verbally and then say, we will send you a notice and then you'll be heard, that would be different. But obviously, you can't sua sponte on.
He could have given them a ticket, right?
Exactly.
A violation notice and said, we're going to follow up. Management company will follow up on Monday.
Or elaborated. Someone complained, you're blocking someone, and then this is a violation of this and this. But what
and you'll hear from us officially, and then we'll set a date for a hearing.
Exactly.
And then the hearing would have to occur. You'd be able to meet your accuser. In this case, it would have been him, a board member, so that would work. And then after you put on your defense, they don't have to put on anything. They just submit whatever it is they have, and then they'd say, "Okay, thanks, see you later." And then they decide amongst themselves, and you would find out.
Right.
They have to give you notice, right? And then they would notify you. Okay, we find you in violation, but we're waiving the fine, or we're going to fine you $100.
Right.
Now, can they just say we're going to fine you $100, or where does that come from? The amount of the fine.
Well, it typically comes from a fine policy or a schedule. But again, I mean, like we said before, they can't just do it on the spot. They have to go through that process.
No, but they have to have. The point is, they have to have a fine schedule. That's what I'm looking for.
And once they do, they can impose that initial fine pursuant to a fine schedule or policy.
Okay.
I mean, the better practice is to give a courtesy notice or courtesy warning.
Yes, but that's not required.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Now, something you didn't say is that the fine. And we're going to do another episode on this in the very near future, or not entirely on this, but it comes into play in an episode I'm going to do in the next couple of days. I don't know when it'll air, but I'm going to tape it in the next couple of days, where we talk about the fact that the fines have to have some sort of reasonable relationship to the wrong committed.
Oh yeah, of course.
You can't just say, first time offense, $1,000.
No,
that's just not reasonable.
Right.
Okay. So now in this situation with $100, given the price of the homes in that neighborhood, because that does factor in, that's probably in the realm of reasonableness for a first offense.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they don't get to ambush you with a clipboard and a ticket book like he's some sort of, sheriff, judge, jury, and executioner, and just issue you a sua sponte fine. That doesn't work, okay? So let's talk about fiction and reality, okay? Here's where they got it wrong. There was no due process at all.
Right.
Okay? There was no citation to the rules. He didn't say. He said, you're violating, our rules say that your garage can't be open for more than 20 minutes. But he didn't say, CC&R section blankety blank prohibit you from having your garage door open more than 20 minutes. Or rules and regulations, part 3, subsection C. They have to identify the specific governing document and where in the governing document the rule is. They have to do that. He wasn't given, Mr. Man Freddy wasn't given a notice or opportunity to be heard. Okay.
Right.
And the cash fine was handed out like a parking ticket. That's where they got it wrong. Okay. Where did they get it right? Well, I'll tell you. Petty, power hungry, HOA agent or advocate, flexing authority. Dead on, which is why it resonates. The reason that scene resonates so well with people in California or Texas or Florida or wherever else all over the nation this show airs, which is nationwide, is because HOAs are everywhere and they share certain similarities. Not all HOAs, not all board members. Nobody's ever said that. We only talk about the bad ones because that's what I'm here for. Okay? But this guy is the epitome of a bad board member and a bad HOA. Okay? And the fine here, in my opinion, had no relationship to the actual aesthetics of the neighborhood. 20 minutes or 25 minutes doesn't make a difference. When you're moving in, you got to have the garage open. It's actually probably worse to have them open and close the garage 100 times while you're moving in, to be honest, because just talk about energy, right? Unless you're purely solar, I mean, there's an environmental issue right there. I mean, you could go on to the absurdity, but to be that vigilant.
And then part of the timing issue too, the due process. I mean, was he out there observing them for 20 minutes plus to ensure that?
Right. Did he drive by on his rounds?
Right.
And then come back and, garage still open. Well, how did you know he didn't close it for 10 minutes or 5 minutes? Because theoretically, if the governing documents were written in a way that I suspect they were, all he had to do was close the garage and reopen it. There's 20 minute starts again.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I bet you their rule didn't say anything because I've never seen this. Garage door cannot be open for more than 20 minutes and must be closed in between openings for at least 20 minutes. And if it said that, then you'd have something. I guarantee it didn't.
Right.
So he must have been there the whole time for him to find him guilty.
And not to overanalyze, but something else that goes to his bad faith, essentially, or his propensity as an enforcer. If you're observing a potential foreseeable violation, why not give a courtesy heads up? Hey,
I know
welcome,
you're new.
Welcome to the neighborhood. Just wanted to give you a heads up.
Yeah, your garage has been open, so technically speaking, you're going to be in violation in a few minutes. So all you got to do is shut your garage and open it back up, and we start the clock.
Right.
Which, by the way, would be very hard to say for me with a straight face.
Yeah.
I could never deliver that line, even if true, because I wouldn't give a rip. Keep it open all day. I don't care. But here's something else they got right. Dead on, okay? A director using a minor infraction to assert control over a homeowner.
Yeah.
A lot of people, not all, a lot of people seek board positions because they just don't have any authority in their lives, and this makes them feel powerful. And that applied here. The scene was funny because it was an exaggerated version of what everybody knows happens every day. That's why it was funny. Otherwise, it just would have been dumb.
Right.
But it wasn't dumb. Okay? So let's give some real world examples. Okay? Let's talk about open garage rule, since that's what that one was. We also had a mail or parking, blocking a mailbox thing.
Right.
But I'm not going to talk about that today. I've got 3 real life examples, one of whom I pulled from one of your cases.
Okay.
Okay? The open garage rule. Just like in Tulsa King, we had a client. The rule was an hour. Okay? It didn't say anything about how long the garage had to be closed before the hour started over. So theoretically, our client could have shut the garage at 59 minutes and then put it back open for another hour, which is what I would do.
Right.
That's called malicious compliance, right? That's what I would do.
Right.
Okay? But this client had it open for like 7 or 8 minutes too long. So hour 7, hour 8 minutes, I don't remember the exact facts. Either the HOA was somehow monitoring this through some patrol, or a director stood by and watched it, or they borrowed somebody's camera. I don't know, but he got cited for it, okay? No flexibility, no warning. It's not like it was a habit with this guy, no grace period, and it's not like he had a habit of keeping his garage door open all day and he was just inside the house. He was in the garage. It was probably really hot and he wanted some fresh air and light, right? Instead of just the dim light that a lot of garages have, unless you have a workshop. It's not going to have bright light. So that's why he had it open probably. But nevertheless, no flexibility, no nothing. That's pretty close to what happened here. Okay? It was a hearing and there was notice. It didn't occur live, which is what made that funny. Then we have what I call the trash can tyranny. Most HOAs have rules. You know, we have trash days where it's CR&R or whatever your trash utility is. Comes by. For me, it's Mondays. For my neighborhood, it's Mondays. Other people, it's Tuesdays, Wednesdays, whatever. And what you're supposed to do in almost every HOA, the rules or the CC&Rs, often will mandate that the trash cans have to be put away by a certain time within a certain period of time. Right. In this particular case, the trash cans had to be put away on the trash day by 7 p.m. or within an hour of the last trash can's drop off, whichever was later. Because sometimes those guys are delayed, and let's say they missed in the summer, let's say, and it's still light up, they missed the 7 p.m. Obviously, you're not going to put your full trash can back, so you can keep it out for an hour after the last pickup occurs, okay? But 7 p.m. was the threshold time. Our client didn't get it in till 7:45, okay, almost an hour. Now, keep in mind, it's a single-family home. These were on the curb right next to his driveway, so there's no blocking. It's not a shared driveway. There wasn't blocking anybody's car. It wasn't sitting on the sidewalk and blocking sidewalk access. It was trash day. The trash cans were sitting by the curb nice and neat, and it was 7:45. Guess what the fine was? And obviously, this wasn't your case. Fine was $100. $100 fine.
Yeah.
Okay. We were able to get him out of that one on a technicality because the notice was wrong. So they screwed up the notice, so we were able to get him off on that. But it was, again, no flexibility, no warning, No courtesy letter saying, hey, it's really important. Like, what if he was still at work and didn't even get home?
Right. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
I had a client, a nurse, that happened to her. Yeah.
I would argue not reasonable, but I would like to actually litigate that one day.
Yeah.
If we get a client that wants to spend the money on that, I'm litigating that because I don't think those tight timelines like that are reasonable. I think by next morning. Okay? So if your trash day is on a Monday, I think by 7 a.m. Tuesday morning would be more reasonable.
Agreed. Yeah.
But some people don't get home till 7 o'clock at night from work. My dad didn't used to get home till 7 o'clock at night from work. So, I don't get it. It's dumb. And then there's what we call, and this one I think you'll recognize now, was holiday overkill. Okay?
Yeah.
It could be jack-o'-lanterns. It could be pumpkins. It could be, what are the fall ones? The straw man, or it could be Christmas.
Christmas lights.
Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Christmas Santa, reindeer, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Wreath on the door. Okay? In this HOA, the rules were that the holiday lights had to be, for all the holidays except for Christmas, they had to be picked up or taken down within 3 days after the holiday was over. And for Christmas, January 10th was the deadline. Okay? Our client didn't get the light. They got everything else off the grass, right? But by January 10th, but they didn't get the holiday lights off the house. Okay? And the reason for that was very simple. A husband was away on business for a couple of weeks, and the mom, kids were too young, and the mom didn't feel comfortable climbing a ladder. It just, if she would have felt comfortable climbing a ladder, she would have, but she's scared of heights, and that was that. How much flexibility did they offer here?
None, really. They were
Zero.
really rigid. Yeah.
$75 fine. We were able to argue that away as being completely unreasonable under the circumstances, given her phobia, which I think qualifies for accommodation, which is the argument we made. Unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Now, we had another case where similar deadline, but our client was 5 days off.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And what did we tell our client? Pay the fine and just don't do it again. We don't take every case and argue everything.
No.
Okay? When there's a reason for some of these rules. I get it. I don't want to see Christmas lights in February. I don't. Okay? And I don't want to see Santa's reindeer in February.
Right.
Okay? I want to see whatever holiday, I want to see Abraham Lincoln, in February.
Or Valentine's Day hearts.
Or George Washington, or Valentine's Day, or a big box of chocolates or something, right? So there's a reason for these things, but they should be used with intelligence and maturity, and that's what's lacking here. All three of those cases should never have been cases.
No.
They should have been, hey, we have this rule, you know that. Take it down, please. I can't. My husband's out of town, and I'm scared of heights, and my kids are too young. Okay, when's he going to be back? Next week. All right, just have him take it when he gets back. God bless. Have a great day. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
If we ran things the way our mothers told, if we ran things the way we were taught to treat people in kindergarten, we would be out of business, right?
Yeah. No kidding.
So how do you fight back when you have a officious, crazy director like this guy, or you have these hard-nosed, jackbooted thugs, okay, running your HOA? Okay, well, one, I think it's a good idea to take a look at whatever they cite to you and see if it says what they say it says.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a loophole. Maybe they're reading it wrong. These guys read it wrong all the time. In fact, more often than not, they're reading it wrong. So you want to do that, right? You want to look very carefully. Okay? What else? You want to demand a hearing.
Right.
Okay? They can't fine you without one. So if they try to pull a Man Freddy here, or they try to make you Man Freddy here, call them on it right there and say, wait a minute. Are you getting me a letter saying I've been fined? I don't recall appearing at a hearing. Did I appear at a hearing? Did I get hit on the head? I don't recall that. Where's my notice? Because if they do that, it's waived. They're done. Okay? I say they shoot their wad if they do that. If they try to fine you without a hearing, they can't go, oh, you're right, our bad, and then notice a hearing. At that point, I say game over. You abused your authority, tried to pull one over, you got called on it, you're done. I'll take that to court. So I would say as soon as they pull that trigger, they've waived it, and they have to wait for your next violation. Now, it doesn't say that in the law, but I bet you I win that. because that makes sense. Okay. Otherwise, there's nothing to prevent HOAs boards from doing this.
Right.
They'll take their shot, see what happens. Worst case scenario, we get what we're supposed to get. Best case, we get to skip the whole hearing process. No, it doesn't work that
You
way.
don't get 2 bites. Yeah.
There should be a punishment. Okay. Challenge the rule if it was performed without proper notice, like one of these was. We were able to throw it away. It was done without proper notice and without. I think not only was it improper notice, like time-wise, but the writing didn't cite the sections of the governing documents. That's a big no-no. Statute says you got to do that.
Right.
So dead in the water. Okay, they lose, and they don't get to just fix it. They lose. Okay, and ask yourself whether or not you're the only one being targeted here.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Selective enforcement's a big deal, and it's illegal. So if John and Mary and Bob have their lights up, but you're friends with them and you're talking to them and you know they weren't noticed, but you were just now you got a strong argument. You're not, you know, you don't like me, but you're not holding other people to the same standard. That doesn't work. It's illegal. Can't do it. Can't do it. Okay? So we've invalidated fines, right? Haven't we? We've reversed outcomes of hearings, and we've even turned abusive fine schedules into full-blown legal claims. Okay? Abusive fine schedule, like first offense, $500.
Right.
Not for lights.
No.
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 First offense. No. Okay? So what did the Tulsa King teach us? Tulsa King taught us you don't always get to choose your neighbors.
Yeah, true.
But you can participate in elections, so maybe you should. And so if somebody's writing you a fine or sending you a hearing, and they have more attitude than authority, make sure they're right. Call them on it. Take a look at everything they cite. Make sure that they complied with the law by giving you the proper 10 days at least, having it in writing, setting forth the sections of the documents that apply. They have to cross their T's and dot their I's strictly. If they don't, you're going to win. And if you don't win, you come to us at MBK Chapman, and we'll hold them accountable for you. So if you're being targeted with bogus fines or with a violation of your due process rights, don't just take it, fight back. And when you're done trying to fight back on your own or it doesn't work, that's when you call us in, okay? I'm Michael Kushner. This has been another episode of HOA Hell. If you like this episode, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, HOA Hell. If you'd like to leave a question or a comment, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, have a wonderful day.